Welcome to Coffee and Popcorn, where we bring you the most striking stories from around the world. Sit back and listen to these 3 crazy relationship stories we have for you from the world of Reddit. We have a story about a woman who invites a man back to her Airbnb and claims to her partner that they only shared a kiss. There's a story about a man who gives his partner an STD and gets another woman pregnant. And last but not least, we have a woman who doesn't think it's a big deal to share a bed with her male best friend, even though she's in a relationship. If you're curious to know how these stories end, get yourself a coffee and grab a bowl of popcorn so we can get into it.
Me and my wife, Misha, started having heavy discussions about our relationship and our future together. After I started therapy 8 months ago, I realized that I was carrying a lot of baggage from our relationship, particularly in the ways she's treated me throughout our relationship. Every relationship has its tensions, but for the most part, I've been an incredible partner to Misha, and she wholeheartedly agrees. Misha's also acknowledged and apologized for how she's treated me throughout our relationship. Anyway, a few months back, I brought all this to light. I started expressing to my partner how I've been hurt by our relationship and that I'm not sure what to do. During our conversation, Misha asked me if I wanted us to stay together because of everything that's happened. My answer was, I think so, but I need some time to process the way you've been treating me before I can answer. I've had 2 therapists now, and they've confirmed this was the right decision for me to make. Given that in the past, our relationship has been a lot of her pushing me to do things I'm not ready for, and a lot of me people-pleasing, so she didn't end our marriage. While I was hesitant and dealing with the hurt I've felt during the past 5 years of our marriage, my wife's response was, I love you. I'm sorry I hurt you, but it's all in the past. I want to make our marriage work moving forward. Up until all this went down, her life was perfect. Misha's got everything she wanted out of our relationship and has left me with the pain because of how she treated me along the way. Nevertheless, Misha felt hurt, and during a weekend trip out of town with a friend, she let a guy buy her drinks at a bar. He was buying her drinks the whole night, and they ended up making out at the bar for a prolonged period of time. The kicker is, one of our best friends was with her and was encouraging Misha. This friend's also been a good friend of mine for about 8 years. Her husband was even the best man at my wedding. Even though my wife's actions are her own, not having one of our close friends step in to put a stop to it added another layer of hurt. My wife then left the bar at 2 a.m. and ended up inviting this guy to her Airbnb. When they were back at the Airbnb, they made out on the couch for an unknown amount of time. She said that they didn't have sex because she was too drunk and had already done too much. There were also other people at the Airbnb, so it wasn't just those 2. That said, she had her own room. My wife told me about all this 24 hours after she got home. I appreciated her honesty, but she definitely trickle-truthed me. It took me 2 to 4 days of questioning to get the full picture of what happened. Even after a few weeks, I was still filling in the gaps. Everything about that night, from the making out, the flirting, and inviting him to her Airbnb, all came from me asking a ton of questions. I don't know what to do. We have 2 young kids. She's a stay-at-home mom, and I run a business to support our family. We're in marriage counseling now, and she's owning her crap. Still, there's a part of me that can't get over the fact that she looked me in the eye and said, the hurt is in the past. I want to make our marriage work moving forward. Only to cheat on me a few days later.
This relationship sounds super toxic and doesn't seem like a good fit for anyone involved. Also, when Misha invited that guy to her Airbnb, they most certainly slept together. While this isn't a guarantee, it's highly unlikely they didn't go all the way. That's just what grown-ups do when things get heated. It doesn't matter that there were other people around. Like a lot of people, I've been in a room with multiple people, and 2 of them still managed to get their freak on without anyone noticing. It seems like OP's wife doesn't respect him at all, so I don't see how he'll ever find peace in this relationship. Let's find out what they're saying in the comments.
Funky Kong says, she's an awful partner. Why would you want to stay? I know that you have kids and all, but do you really want to model for them that this is an acceptable relationship? The fact that she cheated on you and then had the gall to trickle the truth to you is unacceptable. I've been where you are, and I didn't give up until she left me for someone else. Looking back, that was the greatest day of my life. I just wish I left her sooner. You deserve to be happy, OP. Username says, the likelihood that she didn't sleep with him is 1%. So she still isn't owning it, even though you can't prove she's lying. You have to decide if you can live with knowing she slept with someone else, or the uncertainty of it all.
This sucks for OP, but I doubt this relationship will bring him any type of peace in the future. The more time he invests into this marriage, the harder it'll be for him to pull away.
I feel so small and weak. I'm 26, my boyfriend's 27, and we've just celebrated our 7-year anniversary. About 2 years into our relationship, we broke up for a month and then got back together. He said that he didn't sleep with anyone while we were broken up, even though I volunteered to tell him that I slept with my ex. I made it clear that I didn't care if he was with another woman because we were broken up at the time. I mostly wanted to know because we don't usually use protection with each other. On our second or third day of being back together, I woke up to a message from a girl he knew I was already on bad terms with, and she was telling me she was pregnant with my partner's baby. He was sleeping next to me when I got the message. I still remember the adrenaline and emotions that ran through my body. I felt paralyzed and my body was buzzing as I watched him sleep soundly. I immediately went and got tested that day. It was one of the lowest points of my life. He begged and pleaded with me to stay with him, and as stupid as it was, I loved him and couldn't stand the thought of her having him, so I tried to stick it out. A few days later, I got a call from the testing center. I had chlamydia. He was the only man I'd ever slept with without a condom, so he must have got it from her and gave it to me. I felt disgusting and horrible about myself. I had so much resentment towards him and already hated her. I just couldn't do it, so I broke up with him. I was trying to heal. I was going out on the weekends with my friends, but usually he'd be out trying to fight any man he saw talking to me, despite the fact he got another woman pregnant. It was so unfair. Unfortunately, about a month after that, she miscarried. Something I wouldn't wish upon anyone. We eventually got back together, but it took a long time to build up trust and get back to a healthy place. Once we overcame that, it felt like we could overcome anything together. The last few years have been great. We got our own place. I became a registered nurse. He got a good job, we rarely fight, we travel a lot, and communication's good. We've had a few fights over me catching him flirting through Messenger, but it was nothing too serious that we couldn't work out. Last night, he got drunk with some friends, and we went on a late-night Taco Bell run. He sat on the couch when we got back and said he was feeling nauseous and that he'd come up to bed with me in a minute. I was sitting in bed, eating my food, and I realized it had been quite some time and he still hadn't come upstairs. I yelled for him, but I didn't get a response. I went downstairs to get him, and he was fast asleep with his phone open in his hand. He had way too much alcohol. He had just sent a message to someone, then passed out sitting upright on the couch. I took his phone and saw a message that said, "What are you doing, babe?" I started going through them and immediately began shaking. I felt like I was going to pass out. I called my best friend and drove to her house with his phone so we could go through the messages together. The messages only went back to Friday because he deleted them, but he was full-blown cheating. He was telling this girl that he loves her, misses her, wants to have sex with her, and is sad that he has to delete her messages and photos. This absolutely shattered my heart. We did a reverse number search, and lo and behold, it was the girl from 5 years ago that he got pregnant during a hookup. I've never been unfaithful, not once during our entire relationship. He knew how much that whole situation damaged me 5 years ago, the toll it took on me. So for him to resurface that with zero consideration for me, I'm lost, I'm angry, I'm resentful and hurt. I don't even know who I am without him anymore, or where to start. I don't know how to walk away from something that took 7 years to build, but I know I have to. How could he even consider jeopardizing our friendship and relationship like that? I pray that I find the strength to get through this.
I can only imagine how painful this is for OP. Since her partner's messaging the same girl from 5 years ago, I wonder if they've been in contact the whole time. Or is it a more recent thing? In either case, the disrespect he's shown OP is off the charts and demonstrates that he's someone who can't be trusted. Let's see if anyone had any words of wisdom down in the comments.
Treacle says, "You've wasted 7 years of your life, so don't waste 1 minute more. Life's far too short to waste on a scumbag. If she has a man, which I suspect she does, tell him. Hell, If you still have his phone, post it all on his Facebook and Instagram and tag her. Even better, wake the idiot up and say, "You don't have to delete messages and pictures anymore because we're done. I should have let her have you all them years ago." Go complete no contact if you can, because he'll never change. Put him in the bin, where he should have been years ago. Lenerva says, "The first time he slept with her wasn't cheating, but it was scummy of him to sleep with someone you had issues with. I can't imagine breaking up and being like, 'I'm going to sleep with all the awful people my ex hated.' It was awful of him to not tell you that he slept with someone unprotected during the break, and he gave you chlamydia because of that. You tried to move past it, but it sounds like it really affected you. Now you know that he either went right back to her or never stopped cheating with her. It doesn't matter which it was because he's still cheating with her. After everything you've been through, it's a huge betrayal. He can't be trusted, and he isn't taking your feelings seriously."
Hopefully, OP can move past all this and find someone who won't mistreat or disrespect her.
I'm 26, and my girlfriend's 23, and she has a guy best friend who she's known for a long time, and they talk pretty much every day. When they visit each other, they even sleep in the same bed. They don't live in the same country, so they only see each other every few months. We've had conversations about their relationship, and she's always said that nothing's ever happened between them. She says that he's not her type, and she only sees him as a friend. However, there was one time when she mentioned that he's very handsome. I don't mind acknowledging that people are good-looking, but I thought it was a weird and unnecessary comment. Recently, our relationship's been turbulent and we've been on the verge of breaking up. Things turned out this way because she's already lied to me about small things that bother me, and I see these little lies as red flags. Last night, she wanted to prove to me that she's trying to change by opening up about the lies she's told me, one of which is about her previous sexual relationship with her guy best friend. She told me that about 6 years ago, the two of them had sex multiple times, within the span of about 2 to 3 weeks. After that, she ghosted him for around 6 months, but they eventually reconnected and became platonic friends. She told me that she lied because she didn't want me to be concerned about their friendship, considering the fact that they'd been intimate before. I can see her logic on why she lied, given the nature of how close they are. But I can't deny that these are serious red flags. She said that she'd end her friendship with him if this makes me uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that. Just because there was one sexual encounter with someone a long time ago, it doesn't mean that a relationship can't become platonic. The main issue for me is her continuous lying, because she's lied to me multiple times, insisting that nothing ever happened between them. I think there are too many red flags to continue this relationship.
After hearing the first few lines of this story, it was already sus. Guy friends are already a risk factor, and given the age of OP and his partner, even more so. Flying to another country to spend time with another man, even if he's just a friend, isn't something you should be doing when you're in a relationship. If you seriously see a future with your partner, you should be focused on that, not giving your energy to another man. The same thing can be said for guys. OP said, "Just because there was one sexual encounter with someone a long time ago, it doesn't mean that a relationship can't become platonic." I'm torn on this, but I don't think I agree. It's very rare for two people who know each other to sleep together just the once. In any case, that's not what happened in OP's situation. And the fact that his partner's still flying out to see this guy and is sharing a bed with him makes it so much worse. I'd be willing to bet that things have gone down during her visits. Once two people have slept together, it's much easier to do so in the future, regardless of how much time has passed, provided that things didn't end on bad terms, of course. But let's see what our beloved comments section is saying.
Onad says, "Simple. Break up and avoid having bigger problems down the road. Believe me, these things never end well." Clear Star says, "I wouldn't forgive this personally. I take breakups hard when they seem to be about resolvable issues, and there was no major disrespect or damage of trust. This girl tried to manipulate you by withholding information, and she had bad boundaries and values in the first place by not telling you. For her to maintain a friendship with him, especially visiting him, was inappropriate. The decision is yours to make. I wouldn't be capable of forgiving it. I'd be too turned off to be attracted to the person anymore."
I don't think this is a great start for OP's relationship, and I think his partner really needs to get her priorities straight. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Coffee and Popcorn, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.